Okay, so this video and the script for this video was genuinely very hard to make. I've been struggling with what to say and how to explain my training sessions because I've gotten some genuinely concerned comments on the fact that Koda is my first horse, he's an off the track, and he's very anxious and a bit crazy. And that there's also no trainer featured in any of my videos, and that I've been the main one working on him. So, I get all the genuine concerns and comments. There's a lot of reasons for everything that's going on, and I've kind of glossed over and not gone into like full detail about everything. But just know that not everything is black and white, and that there is a lot going on in the background and not just some dummy working with a horse that she shouldn't be. The whole point of my channel is for it to be a positive environment that features all the good and bad of life with horses, and it's supposed to be open and honest about all of my mistakes along the way. And I really enjoy making these videos and watching my progress with Koda because, let me be completely honest, I'm a bit selfish, and that's the main reason why I have the channel, is that it's to put my progress out there for me to watch, and also for other people to see, another person's mistakes, and sometimes really bad mistakes. Yeah, and I know a lot of people don't agree with my methods, and often I really don't either. I screw up and have to constantly sit back down and read over articles and articles, talk to vets, instructors, etc., and watch everything I did wrong and figure out how to fix it. And again, it's not always going to be all black and white. I'm losing my train of thought here. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is that there is a lot going on behind the scenes that you don't see, and I do want you to keep that in mind when you watch my videos. I'm really not at all perfect, of course, which is I don't know why I even said that. And honestly, I will most likely look back at all of these videos and ask myself, what the heck was I thinking? What am I doing? But that is the point. It's to show that not everything is black and white, not everything is easy, and sometimes we do stupid things, and we have to learn from it. So genuinely, if you don't like what you see, obviously that's okay, but keep in mind not everything is black and white, and that there are other videos to go and see that might be more along the lines of what you agree with. So with all of that out of the way, let's get into this video. So as you guys may or may not know, Koda's anxiety has improved significantly, but is obviously a major play in the way I go about his training. I've been starting off with a lot of relatively fun exercises just to get him to respond to commands he's never been told before. Just something new that he doesn't necessarily have a negative association with. This would be clicker training. Let's, start off with the beginning of the week, because I do go about this week differently, and I don't think I worked on any clicker training this week. But I began by gently asking Koda for the foot in the pasture, which, if you don't know, is kind of a big deal. And honestly, I would say that he responded quite well. He would lift up his feet and even let me hold it for a split second. If you guys haven't seen kind of how he acts with the feet, there is another video on it. Oh, but yes, he would lift up his feet for a second, and then he would automatically kind of slam his foot back into the ground. I did all of this without the clicker and food, just to kind of see how he would do, because you're not necessarily going to use food when you ask a horse to pick up the feet, And I don't want him to always think that there's going to be food involved with everything. So since there was no food, I rewarded with just tons of scratches and love, and just gave him like a few second break between each time I asked, just to give him a brain break and to let him know it was okay. Quite obviously, he's not trusting with the feet, but I do think since there's overgrowth and his feet are quite tender, that he has a hard time balancing when asking for his feet to be picked up. So I think that does have influence on why he's so horrible about his feet being picked up. So going into week 6, I am going to continue to ask for his feet in the pasture and see if there's an improvement, and if not, we're going to once again get the vet and the farrier out just to kind of see if there's some other way we can go about getting his feet done, because obviously a horse can't just be standing on their horrendous feet 24/7. So yes, while it is better to go ahead and start working through these anxieties and get him to pick up his feet on his own, if we must, I'm going to do what's best for my horse, and if that takes, finding a different method of getting his feet up, then that's what I will do for him, because it's really important that he is healthy. And the reason I mention his feet is because we've once again found something that we need to work on, in order for his feetsies to be done. And that is some desensitization to the halter and lead rope and items around his back. So I'm sure, as many of you know, with horses, and I guess in life in general, it is literally like a one baby step forward and then 10 ginormous steps backwards. And that is my life with Koda. So I discovered when I was loving on him that I triggered something, and he kind of reached around to attempt to bite me. He didn't. So I don't know if he couldn't reach. I don't think that was the case. I think he just didn't fully go in because I stopped whatever I was doing and I just moved away. Him trying to bite me and me loving on him and whatever I triggered was right after I finished cleaning the trough. And I unfortunately didn't get it on video because that's my luck. Which also means I can't look at what the heck I did wrong, which is very frustrating, but honestly, it is what it is. Anyways, this incident gave me kind of the extra push that it was time to get a bit more stern with Koda, because honestly, this isn't an acceptable behavior, and I do get that a lot of things are scary for him, and while I do want to be as polite about most things as I can, I am gonna have to be a little bit more stern that these behaviors aren't okay. Obviously being wary of any sort of possible medical history or medical problem that might be causing this reaction. I have been quite lenient with Koda, but there are just some things I cannot be soft about. Yeah, I don't want to strip all the fun away in the world from him, but also, I have the question of how are you supposed to have fun if you're not fully comfortable on your own feet and worried that everything is out to get you and beat you? You're just not going to have fun. You just aren't. This means Koda's going to have to brave some things and learn that not everything is all bad and not everything's out to get him. And that is an easier said than done sort of task, like everything is. So, back to the training session, I started gently working on how he would respond to the lead rope over the gate being for protected contact, and he seemed to do okay with it, so I went ahead and entered. But within a couple tries, he did this, and also enjoy my dramatic reaction. Oh boy. Honestly, there's kind of a big face palm here. I'm really not so sure why I reacted so dramatically, but I did, and there's nothing I can do about it. I should have moved quickly and quietly instead of running away like my life depended on it and acting like death was inevitable. Well, okay, but I'm sure I'll get a comment telling me how I should or shouldn't be acting, but honestly, I get it. But again, this is why I want to keep things completely open and honest. I think I was more on edge that day, and this means I should not have been in the pasture with him working on something new. And I should not have been in the pasture in general with him if I'm feeling anxious. That being said, do not get in the pasture with a horse if you are feeling more anxious in the day, because it will rub off on the horse, and that can lead to things like this happening and me being completely dramatic. His response is also why I like people to be around when I'm working with Koda. They're never on camera, but just for the added safety measure in case I press too many buttons and trigger something to happen like I did this week. This reaction that he had does not mean and did not mean I was going to stop working on the halter and lead. It meant I was going to continue working on the halter and lead and just work through the anxiety until he could tolerate it and eventually be okay with it, which we're not fully at yet, but I feel confident in him. It's so important for horses to be able to be handled for a multitude of reasons, but also in case of an emergency. So that is what it's time to work on, is handling, which, again, I started off with a lot of play and clicker training, and I will continue to do those things just to kind of bond with him before jumping into things that are more scary for him. And as you know, a lot of those things were still scary for him. Grooming is scary for him, and he has improved drastically, and I am so proud of us. I'm so proud of him, But again, in case of emergency, it's super important that horses are able to be handled. So again, that is what we're going to work on. Am I going to always do it correctly? No. But after our little debacle, I decided, okay, we're not going to do this in the pasture quite yet because he's not ready for that. Instead, we're going to continue from the other side of the gate like I had started off with protected contact, and just kind of get him used to me being obnoxious because, you know, not to brag, I am already really good at it, so he's just going to have to get used to me being obnoxious. But as you can see, I kind of just did whatever I did with the rope, flinging around all over the place, and then eventually I worked up to tossing it over the gate and then tossing it over his back. And you'll see that he wasn't necessarily amused by this, he didn't necessarily care for this, but he didn't leave. So if you don't know, I like Koda to have the capability of leaving when he is feeling a little overwhelmed and just needs to get away, rather than him feeling trapped, and then with him being a defensive horse, him feeling the need to attack. You'll also see me frequently kind of put my hand up to block Koda's head from coming any closer. Just in case there was an attempt to bite. I don't necessarily know if he would have. He wasn't amused with what was going on. He wasn't pleased with what was going on. And I didn't feel like getting bitten. So yeah, if you see my hand jump up, it's not me going to hit him or anything like that. It's me blocking his head from coming any further. Even if he didn't mean anything by it, just a safety precaution. As I flung the rope along his back, I would tell him how great he was doing, and I would just talk him through it. Like, I just talk to him, tell him about my day, that sort of thing. I don't know why. I don't know if anyone else does that with their horses, but I will sit there and talk about random things. If at any point he kind of reached out to the rope grumpily, I would just kind of make this like weird, quiet, like no noise. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a type of noise. Just to let him know I didn't want him messing around with it. And if he started standing quietly, I would reward him. I would give him, again, love and scratches, and I did not use food in this session at all. I figured that I should keep the food out of the session because I'm not going to necessarily use food with everything, and I don't want him to expect food in every single scenario. And also, he has food anxiety, so I don't want the added extra pressure of it being present. My whole goal here with this whole like rope thing isn't just to get him used to the, you know, things being tossed around his back, because honestly it's not really in full preparation for a saddle pad or saddle going across his back, because it's gonna be a while till that happens. But it's really to start getting rid of some of that tension and anxiety that he holds when things of old or new come out, and to not immediately expect the worst. A halter and lead, like I said, will be used in emergency, and it'll also be used when he is being trimmed by the farrier. So I want him to learn to be responsive to the halter and lead rope, but not in a negative and dangerous way. I'm also using this as a way, like I said, to teach boundaries, and that he doesn't need to defend himself when something, or when someone is doing something, albeit possibly annoying. I hope all that makes sense. I hope all of this makes sense, actually, because I feel like it doesn't. I'm kind of a space cadet, so I don't know. So, going into week 6 with Koda Bear, I want to really start working on desensitizing and continuing this desensitizing thing, and I want to also ask for his feet more. We're really going to start asking and pushing for these feet. We're going to see if there's improvement. If there is not, I'm going to take it as okay, let's get his feet. We need to figure out another way to get his feet trimmed and see if that helps. Maybe get an extra person out as well to help with his feet. We shall see. But I also want to be sure I'm still including our fun clicker training sessions as well, because he seems to really enjoy that. And I do want him to enjoy the other activities, but for a while, I think they're going to be really hard on him. So I think it'll be good to just, I don't know, do what we do, goof off, and not for it to always be this intense training session. Because I think that's important. But oh, I should say that I don't know how much of the clicker training I will be including in future videos, because a lot of our clicker training sessions look the same, but if I work on anything new, I'll be sure to include it into the video. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm gonna say that's it. I don't know, I probably forgot something, I'm sure I'll get questions, but I hope you guys liked this video, and have a wonderful day.
Ooh, good boy.